Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the documents that Wall Street hopes you won't read. This time, we're diving into Gevo, Key's proxy statement. Will we uncover hidden agendas or just a lot of corporate jargon? Let's find out together. This is Gevo's roadmap for their annual shareholder meeting, a document packed with proposals for votes, director details, and executive pay. Basically, it's the cheat sheet for what they want you to approve. Mark your calendars, stockholders. The annual meeting is set for May 21st, 2025. They're asking you to vote on things like electing directors, amending their stock incentive plan, and ratifying their accounting firm. It's all happening online, so no need to dust off your travel shoes. Whether you're planning to virtually attend or not, they really want you to vote. You can do it by phone, internet, or snail mail. Every share counts, or so they say. Time to pick who sits on the board. They're asking you to elect 3 Class 3 directors, William Baum, Mary Catherine Ellett, and Gary Mize. These folks will serve until 2028 if you give them the thumbs up. William Baum, the chairman, has a long history in biofuels. He used to be the Chief Business Development Officer at Genomatica. Mary Catherine Ellett brings experience from Air Liquide Hydrogen Energy. It seems like she's well versed in the renewable energy applications. Gary Mize has a background in agribusiness. He's been a partner and owner at MRR and MR & Associates since 2009. They're recommending you vote for all 3. Now let's talk about the money. They want to increase the number of shares reserved for issuance under their stock incentive plan by 15 million shares. In other words, they want more stock to give to employees, directors, and consultants. As of March 25th, 2025, they only had about 3 million shares left, which they say isn't enough to attract and keep talent. So they want to add 15 million more to the pot. They claim this will allow them to better compete for talent. They're managing their equity use responsibly, apparently. Adding 15 million shares would bring the total shares under the plan to about 16.3% of the company's outstanding stock. The board unanimously recommends you vote for this proposal. Time to talk about who keeps the books. They're asking you to ratify the appointment of Deloitte & Touche Pell as their independent accounting firm for 2025. Deloitte took over from Grant Thornton in 2024 after a competitive process. Ratifying this appointment is considered routine, but the board is still submitting it to the stockholders for a vote. Let's look at the fees. Audit fees were $885,398 in 2024. Tax fees hit $547.89. And remember, they are asking you to vote for to ratify Deloitte. How do you feel about the CEO's pay? This is your chance to give a non-binding thumbs up or down to the compensation of their named executive officers. Last year, about 76% of the votes approved the executive compensation. They're asking you to vote for this advisory vote. Let's shift gears to the board itself. They must be independent, and they all seem to be, except for Patrick Gruber, who's the CEO. The board has committees for audit, compensation, and nominating and corporate governance. Each has its own responsibilities. Speaking of compensation, the compensation committee decides on executive pay. They also use an independent consultant to help them make those decisions. The stock ownership guidelines are in place to align the interests of the executives and board with those of the stockholders. The CEO should own 5 times his base salary in company stock. Other senior management 3 times their salary to make sure they care as much as you do about the success of the company. What do the directors make? Looking at the table, William Baum as chairman took home about $259,000 in 2024. That's a mix of cash and stock options. Now let's get to the executive pay. Patrick Gruber, the CEO, made over $3.1 million in 2024 with a base salary of $670,800 and a bonus of $808,1414. Check out those stock option awards. The table shows grants of stock options and restricted stock to the executives valued in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Those tables were dense. Here is the simple version. If things go south for Gevo but the executives get terminated without cause, Gruber could walk away with millions. However, it goes both ways. Remember, they are subject to stock ownership. Here's something interesting. The CEO's pay is about 18.7 times higher than the median employee's pay. It's something to keep in mind as you decide how to vote. It looks like the board reviews and oversees related party transactions to avoid conflicts of interest, which is a positive but also very standard. If you have ideas, get them in writing. The deadline for submitting proposals for the 2020-25, they have to arrive at their specific address by that date to be considered. That's at the end. Okay, so what's the story here? Gevo is in growth mode. focusing on sustainable fuel and chemical markets. Their executive compensation aims to incentivize long-term value creation, and that's a positive. There is no real smoking gun here or a red flag, but it is very clear to understand the relationship and benefits going both ways to determine if all these executives are properly incentivized for you, the shareholder. It's all in your hands now. This document should provide the information needed for you to do your own DD on each exec's director before voting. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.